This is Vin, and today we're going to be trying a new avocado variety called the Syndi. And this is a Hass seedling that's grown by a commercial producer by the name of Ken Hennell over in Fallbrook. And this is a seed that dropped, turned into a tree, and it produced this different variety of avocado called Syndi, named after his wife. And we're going to try it today. And I also have one of his Hasses that was already cut open. My wife had the other half of this morning and she loved it. So we're going to try the two together. I also have a glass of water so I can refresh my palate in between. So I'm going to take the stem off and let's just make sure this is ready to go. Let me dip my knife into it and it feels ready. Here we're going to slice it open. Let's see what it looks like. All right. So that's the inside. Ken mentioned that it does have slightly larger seed, but it's not that bad. It's reminiscent of Fuerte a little bit. He also talked about how it has a bit of a thinner skin than a Hass. You can see that, but it looks like it's on par with a Fuerte too. Now the fruit itself is not that large. If you put it together, it's just fits well into the hand, but I actually prefer a smaller size of avocado because it allows you to have as much of it as possible in one sitting. You don't have to put it back in the fridge. So I cut it into a quarter, and we're going to see how it peels. And some difficulty peeling. This is actually seeming pretty similar to Fuertes I've been eating recently, where it doesn't peel the best. That doesn't mean it doesn't taste good. So let's use our knife to help peel it a little bit, and then we will taste it. All right, so I peeled off some of the skin. All right, so a couple things immediately. It has a very rich flavor. The richness comes from the fat content, so it's a very dense avocado. This is on par, I would say, with definitely with some of the Fuertes I've been eating. I've been eating some late season Fuerte. Well, it's dense, creamy, really good fat content, and this strong flavor of nuts, but not overpowering. So I had some very late season Fuerte and Pinkerton that were dense, almost cheese-like, right? And that's not my preferred flavor. This is just before that, right? Not really cheesy, but you have the strong nutty flavor, dense, very creamy. It's quite delicious. Another thing that we know about this tree is it produces fruit in clusters. Ken shared some pictures in one of the avocado groups, the Southern Backyard Avocado Growers Group, that showed all these fruits in clusters, and I got to see it for myself. Ken was really generous to have me on his property to show me the tree. The tree was not that big, but it had these fruit that were hidden under the leaf canopy, under the leaves rather, protected from the sun, and the fruit were born in clusters. And the tree is not so big, so potentially this is a precocious variety. Doesn't need to get that big before it becomes very productive, and it produces high quality fruit. Now, one thing I notice here is that even though it's creamy, this is clearly ripe, that the fruit itself actually maintains a certain level of firmness. So this is not like the type of avocado you get where when it's really ripe, it turns into mush. This is it actually stands up pretty well, and you can kind of see that here where it has some level of firmness to the flesh. Really nice. Here's the cross section again. And now let's try it with this Hass, which was opened earlier this morning. I'm going to try to clear out my palate some with some water. I'm going to take a slice. See the Hass here. There's a large, actually less than a quarter. You can see how big it is. And the Hass, by comparison, it's nice, but it's actually the flavor is less intense. I'm actually shocked by that. I would expect very similar intensity, at least just knowing Hass. And this fruit was just absolutely stunning when we picked it. Really large Hass, but it's actually less dense than the Syndi. Syndi has very fine texture. Um, it's very little like grain experience when you're eating it. Whereas the Hass is a little bit larger. And I mean, this is, everyone knows Hass is very high quality fruit. It's not to say that the Hass is grainy, it's just less finely textured, less dense than the Syndi, which is just smooth, creamy, and firm, like relatively firm. Maybe that's a factor to how long I've let it ripen. Maybe it's going to get softer in the coming days. But overall, my experience is this is not a large fruit, but it's quite delicious. It's not super easy to peel, but that's not really an issue for me. My favorite variety overall is Fuerte. Fuerte is very rarely easy to peel, but its flavor is delicious. This looks like it bears fruit it bears fruit in clusters, which is really good. Protects them from the sun. Is this an A flower type? I don't know. If it is, then it's potentially like an improved Fuerte, maybe a little bit smaller, but the flavor is very high quality. So it's really promising. I've grafted one scion so far to one of my trees and probably do a few more. High quality fruit, Syndi. Thanks again, Ken, for such a high quality fruit that you've shared with me, and that I'm sure will be shared with a larger group here to begin propagating soon. So thanks again. Awesome fruit. Very excited to have this in my own yard, and hope you enjoyed this review.